There's a difference between commercial and television and film. Television and film, the idea is that that's an actor portraying a part. With commercials, we all know that they're actors, we're actors, but the idea behind the commercial is that these are real people. The woman that's feeding her cat is not an actress, she's a real person feeding her cat.
Right.
So it's a different, you have to approach it differently. You have to be smaller in the commercial because, you know, when the camera's here, it sees everything. And it's not about you, it's about the product and your relationship to that product. And so everything in commercial is very small. It's not big, it's not, I have a new cell phone. It's,
right.
Oh wow, I have a new cell phone. This is awesome, I can do this. It's natural. It's almost like you're outside watching someone in Starbucks looking at their new phone, and it's supposed to come off natural. So the approach is different. Right. Because you don't want to be too big because it looks like a performance as opposed to this is someone who's just naturally on their phone.
Networking and putting your face out there. The more people you see, the better.
Learn to deal with rejection. I always tell people, have a life outside of this business. When you're not doing this, what are you doing? What do you love to do? Do you like to go for walks in the park? Do you like to go to the beach? Do you like to travel? Find something that you love doing, because all of this rejection, it plays into your mental health.
I think knowing that this really is a long game. You know, it's a marathon. You know, it's not a sprint.
So if you want to act, definitely start out with theater, because you just get more of that feeling with the audience. You get to see what works, what doesn't work. You get to work on like playing small or playing really big, so they can see you in the back of the audience. So yeah, definitely start out with theater, and classes are always helpful because you get to build your network, you get to get feedback from teachers, so you're not just working by yourself.
Theater is the foundation because, you know, the thing is, if you do film and TV, you mess up, they can always say cut, right? In theater, there's no cutting, right? If you forget a line, you have to wing it. You got to figure it out. You got to improv. And so it forces you to really keep your muscles strong, right?
You have to show up to the audition.
Right.
Like, no matter what, you have to show up to the audition. Because, like, why would you not show up to, like, something that could potentially change your life?
One of the things that was always interesting is any casting session I was in, there was always the director and producers and other people involved. And there were certain times over my career where you could feel the energy in the room shift, and sometimes the actor would go out of the room and close the door, and everybody would go, oh my God, that was it. And to feel that and to see that, and like I said, so often it was somebody that was so different than how we originally conceived the characters. And that, you know, that's something that's just completely intangible. You can't describe what it is or why it is, but it's something about the way the actor is connecting to the material and bringing it alive. It works. And one of the things I always say to my writing students as well is the whole idea of it's the authenticity that comes through. So that both as a writer and as an actor, if you're bringing something that feels genuine, that feels true, that feels unique to the thing, that's what you respond to. And so sometimes it's finding those surprises, it's finding those things, but it's always, there's some kind of tangible connection, there's some kind of, I can't say it any better, just the authenticity of it, and that's what resonates.
It's amazing because, you know, you don't realize in like commercials they use a lot of voiceovers. In you know, film they use a lot of voiceovers. So it's actually a really good skill to develop in how to read something, the diction, your breath. It's not just reading something. It's actually like a craft.
Time we didn't used to do self-tapes. Now there's self-tapes. And you want the quality of that self-tape to be phenomenal. You don't want any distractions. You want that backdrop. You want good lighting. You want to use a good camera. You can use your phone, it's fine. Phones have great technology these days, but you want lighting, backdrop, camera, great audio.
Don't underestimate your self-tapes, because for someone to book their very first television role, co-star role in a self-tape, is great.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, you know, I sent off the tape. I was really happy with what I did, and then next thing I know, I was booked on it.
No, you got a call back for a reason. They liked something, they saw potential in you. So I think it's really just diving more into the story, building the world a bit more, building more interest in what's going on, and then going in there and not letting my mentality get the best of me, like, oh, the director's here, now I really have to like do something to impress them. Like, no, nothing's changed. You go in there and you do your work and you just make it happen. I was recruited to go to UC Riverside for scholarship on track and field. And I remember running track there for about 2 years, but I couldn't do both. I couldn't do acting and track and field at the same time. So I told my coach, I'm like, listen, you know, I really want to put in my heart into this, and I think I want to give up track and field. He was like, you know what, I get it, go for it. And so a few weeks later after that, I was able to get an internship at the Oprah Winfrey Network. Wow. And that really just opened up my eyes to the administrative part of the business in terms of like how the industry really works. And I remember my track coach, he texted me like, hey, you know, there's this agent and he's looking for track people for this commercial thing. Do you want to audition for it?
Right.
And it was like, yeah, sure. Like, I don't care. I'll go. It was on a Saturday and I had nothing really to do. Yeah. So I go to the audition and I have to run 5 meters north and 5 meters east.
The fact of the matter is training. We need training. You know, because there's just things you just don't know. What you don't know is what you don't know. Or a lot of people, they set this sort of time limit for themselves. So if I'm not doing it in 2 years or 4 years, then I'm done. It could take a person 12, but you can go from a 12-year period to where you're not even having any co-stars or guest stars, and then boom, you're like a huge film actor.
Right.
Just based on your training and your expertise.
I think improv classes are important.
Okay.
Specifically for commercials, like, cause sometimes you go in commercial auditions and there'll be a script, right? But other times they'll just say, okay, this is the situation, and now improv it out, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so improv skills are really important for commercials, and then yes, of course, like in the theater world, like I said, if you forget a line, you got to figure out how to improv, and if you don't have those improv skills, then then you're gonna
be hard.
It's gonna be harder.
Yeah.
Get into class. Make sure you are trained, because I think that a lot of people jump in and like, how can I get representation? How can I like be in a movie? I think that you're just embarrassing yourself if you don't know how to act. You know? And I think that that is the biggest thing. I think that before anything else, make sure that you are comfortable performing. Make sure that you're comfortable like creating a character. Make sure you're comfortable, just acting, right? Make sure that's something that you actually want to do. Put all your effort and invest everything you possibly can into anything, whether it's because you're always representing yourself in this industry, whether it's a self-tape or whether it's your actor's profile, your headshots, your reel. Like, you have to be, I think, 100% committed to portraying the best part of yourself. If this is what you want, you have to be 100% on it. No cutting corners.